Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Batch Flower Remedies with Dr. Amit. All of us, especially the Indian kids, all of us have experienced one peculiar thing in our childhood. We all were put into some or the other hobby class. Either it was a singing, or it was a musical instrument, or it was either painting, or skating, or cricket, or football, or something. And then we could not sustain with those hobbies, we could not sustain with those tuitions, we could not sustain with those activities, and we left them because we found them difficult to do in a after a certain time. We met with failures. We tried to learn a musical instrument, but when we started to do the initial riyas or initial exercises, it was very difficult, and then it didn't work the way we thought that we will just be a masters in those things, and it didn't go well. We faced with certain disappointments, certain failures, certain difficulties, which we took them as failures, and we left that things. So we enrolled for a music class, we enrolled for a musical instrument tuitions. We went there, we did a few classes, but when we realized that no, this is difficult than we thought, we left it. This happened in childhood. In adulthood, we have gained weight, so we went to a gym. We started going for a morning walk. We started doing dieting. But when we faced with certain difficulties, when we saw that even after 15 days, which is actually negligible, but even after 15 days, the weight has not reduced, we saw that as a disappointment. We saw that as a failure. We saw that as uh, something is not happening. Whatever we want, that's not happening. We left it. This is now what is happening in the adulthood. All these patterns, they need Gentian. Gentian is the remedy, which is the remedy for uh, remedy for sustenance. Sustenance is, or perseverance, or sustenance is something that is the positive quality that Gentian will give you. So the negative quality of Gentian is they leave the efforts, they leave their struggle whenever they face with initial difficulties or initial or any kind of difficulties, disappointments, or hurdles or failures. So people who leave, uh, when I was in medical college, in first year, we didn't have any ATKT. So people who used to fail in even one subject or even in theory or viva, they were put into or batch. They were put. They used to stay behind, and we used to go ahead. Those people who have passed, they used to go to the next year, and the people who didn't pass one subject, they used to stay behind. Before, even before that, during the first term via exams, there were so many people who came from 12th standard. They had a very good record in, obviously they, when they were admitted to a medical college, they had good marks till 12th standard. But medical college, or any professional college for that matter, is a completely changed scenario with respect to your studies. So when you face with those hurdles, when you can't gel with the new study patterns or the new study techniques, and when you face with your first failure. Now, the failure may not be just getting failed in an exam. Somebody who was getting 90-94% of the marks, even if he gets 60% marks, that also can be seen as a failure by that person. And such perceived failures or actual failures, when they make you disappointed and when they make you to leave that particular struggle, that particular mission, that particular course, or that particular uh, path that you have decided, that's where you need Gentian. So Gentian is the remedy for disappointments. Gentian is the remedy for sustaining despite facing with disappointments. And when this becomes a pattern, then you can use Gentian. So Gentian is the remedy where uh, it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. it happens with the stock market as well. I have a video on how to use batch for remedies for stock market enthusiastic people. Search for that video on this channel, and you will understand how Gentian can be useful. Typically, when somebody enters into stock market, they usually face with a beginner's luck. So initially, they get good returns. Somehow, the stock market gives them those returns initially. But when you go ahead and when you try investing more and more, you do meet failures. You do meet failures like anything, and you might lose all your capital. Now that is the time when you need Gentian, because you don't, if you still stick with your efforts, if you learn from those mistakes, if you stick with your efforts, if you don't leave the path just because you faced with the initial hurdles and initial failures, then you can actually get a lot from the market. So if you stay there, anywhere for that matter, if you're staying at a particular if you're staying with a consistent kind of efforts, then you will achieve what you wanted to achieve. But if you are getting bogged down by the failures, the disappointments, and the hurdles, then Gentian can help you. Now you can imagine how Gentian can be useful uh, for students, for people who are trying to lose their weight but they are not in a position to lose their weight. It can be useful for stockbrokers. It can be useful anywhere, because failures and difficulties are the typical things which actually make us demoralized. So if you do not want to lose your morale, use Gentian, and I'm sure it will give you the much needed sustenance, much needed perseverance, and much needed motivation to stick with the thing and achieve what you actually had planned and what you actually wanted to achieve. So Gentian can be useful for students as well as in the adulthood. It can help you to lose your weight. It can help you to achieve great success in stock market. It can help you uh, to pass your medical schools, your engineering, your CA exams. It will help you to crack those exams, even if you face the initial failures. So Gentian is one remedy. It is slightly different than hornbeam. We have seen hornbeam. Hornbeam usually feels insecure, or they will feel uncertain about their own abilities before starting a task. While a Gentian will feel uncertain about their abilities after they meet the initial failures. So this is the difference between Gentian and hornbeam. So use Gentian whenever it is needed, and I'm sure it will help you to achieve or to provide much needed sustenance to either your patients or to yourself. Please subscribe to our channel to get such regular videos on health, homeopathy, and brush for remedies. Thank you.